Today, we will open the door of time to step into the life of one of the world's most illustrious kings and warriors, Alexander the Great. Born to conquer, Alexander expanded his empire from Greece to India in just 13 short years. But imagine this: what truly drove him to press forward unceasingly? Was it the thirst for glory or an insatiable desire for power? And was Alexander a military genius ahead of his time, someone who changed the map of the ancient world? Or was he simply a ruthless ruler? What enabled a man at the age of 20 to hold absolute power and defeat the greatest civilizations? Was it too much when Alexander considered himself an invincible god, the son of Zeus? Did his sudden death at the age of 32 result from illness, or was it a plotted downfall orchestrated by those closest to him? Alexander's life and career are filled with questions, controversies, and mysteries. Join me today as we explore the surprising truths about the king who knew no limits, Alexander's childhood. Alexander was born in 356 BC in the city of Pella, the capital of the Kingdom of Macedonia. He was the son of King Philip II and his fourth queen, Olympias. From an early age, Alexander showed signs of being a stubborn child, but also exhibited an unusual cleverness. It is astonishing to know that Alexander, the pupil of Aristotle, the master of those who know, and the greatest encyclopedia of ancient Greece, was profoundly shaped by his teacher. One intriguing and mysterious story about Alexander is that of Bucephalus, his mighty and loyal warhorse. When Bucephalus was presented before King Philip II, it was a wild and enigmatic horse that no one could tame. At just 12 years old, Alexander, full of courage and determination, asked his father for permission to try. King Philip hesitated but eventually agreed, sensing a strange atmosphere in the air. Alexander approached Bucephalus with an unusual calmness. He realized that the horse was not truly wild, but was simply frightened by its own shadow. With prophetic intelligence, Alexander gently turned Bucephalus towards the sun, causing its shadow to disappear. With whispered words like magic, Alexander mounted the horse. Instantly, Bucephalus seemed enchanted, becoming gentle and obedient under the hands of a master who appeared capable of mastering both fate and mystery. The entire court was astonished. King Philip embraced his son and said, "My son, seek another kingdom to rule, for Macedonia is too small for your greatness." From that moment on, Bucephalus and Alexander became inseparable friends. The horse accompanied Alexander in most of his battles, from Greece to Persia to Egypt and India. Bucephalus was not just a horse, he was a symbol of loyalty and bravery, the curse of Thebes, wrath from the afterlife. In 335 BC, the city of Thebes decided to rebel against Alexander while he was campaigning in northern Greece. Instead of quelling the uprising through diplomatic means, Alexander chose a brutal path. Before attacking Thebes, Alexander was warned by a local oracle that if he destroyed the city, the souls of the innocent would not leave him in peace. Despite the warning, Alexander proceeded with the assault. It is said that, on the night before the massacre, Alexander dreamt of a ghost appearing before him, saying, "You will sow terror, but you will not escape it yourself." The next day, like a divine wrath, Alexander ordered a full-scale attack on the city. The result was a nightmare. More than 6,000 inhabitants were slaughtered, and another 30,000 were taken as slaves. The city of Thebes was engulfed in flames. Houses burned fiercely, and even sacred temples were not spared from the destruction. After the destruction of Thebes, rumors about Alexander's sleepless nights began to spread. It was said that he would often wake up to terrifying screams, as if the spirits of those massacred were haunting his sleep. Could it be that the wrath of the people of Thebes had turned into a curse that haunted Alexander until the end of his life? The brutal revenge on Bessus. After Alexander defeated Persian King Darius III at the Battle of Gaugamela, a dark chapter of betrayal unfolded. Darius, once Alexander's greatest adversary, was betrayed and killed by his own general Bessus. Not only that, but Bessus also declared himself the king of Persia and fled east, like a wild wolf running from the wrath of the true predator. Enraged by this act, Alexander decided to pursue Bessus across thousands of miles of treacherous terrain, not only to avenge Darius, but also to demonstrate his own invincibility. When Alexander captured Bessus, he didn't just execute him, he chose a punishment that would make anyone shudder. He ordered Bessus to be tied to 2 chariots, each pulling a part of his body in opposite directions, tearing the traitor apart in excruciating pain. This was not merely a death, it was a public torture, a bloody message to all. Betray Alexander, and you will face the most horrific end. But what drove Alexander, a king with a vision of uniting the world, to such brutality? Was it a sign of a leader who could not forgive betrayal? Or was it the true nature of Alexander, a relentless conqueror who viewed human lives as mere pawns on the battlefield? Some praise Alexander as a hero, a great strategist, but this act raises the question, was he truly great, or just a dictator with a heart of steel, ready to crush anyone who stood in his way? The controversial personal life with his close friend Hephaestion. Alexander the Great was not only famous for his great military achievements, but also for his complex personal life, where love, power, and loyalty intertwined. His marriage to the Persian princess Roxana was merely a strategic move to consolidate power over newly conquered lands. However, the person Alexander truly loved was Hephaestion, his friend and possibly his lover, causing the world to question, what was the true nature of this relationship? Hephaestion was not just a friend, he was a soulmate, a companion on every battlefield. They not only fought side by side, but also shared a bond that went beyond friendship. But did this affection go beyond normal boundaries? Plutarch, the famous historian, once compared them to Achilles and Patroclus, the Greek mythological pair believed to have had an intense romantic relationship. But when it comes to Alexander, a king with limitless ambition, was this love his only weakness? When Hephaestion died in 324 BCE, Alexander was devastated. He organized a lavish funeral, ordered Hephaestion to be honored as a god, and in his grief cut off his hair, a symbol of irreparable loss. But why would a powerful emperor who had crushed mighty empires be so devastated by the death of a friend? Many believe that the feelings between Alexander and Hephaestion went far beyond friendship. After Hephaestion's death, Alexander even summoned prophets and priests in an attempt to contact the soul of his soulmate, as if refusing to accept that they had been separated by death. There were rumors that he planned to build a massive temple in Hephaestion's memory, something he had never done for anyone else, not even his closest royal relatives. So was Alexander's love for Hephaestion a weakness or an invisible source of strength that pushed him beyond all limits? Was Hephaestion's death the reason for Alexander's downfall, leading to his own death just a year later? Or was it merely a coincidental twist of fate? The mysterious death of Alexander the Great. In 323 BCE, the great journey of Alexander came to a sudden end when he died in Babylon at the age of 32, a young age considering his vast accomplishments. However, the shock was not only due to his death, but also the mysteries surrounding the cause of it. Numerous theories have been proposed, each containing strange and controversial elements. Poisoning conspiracy, the dark shadow, behind the throne. Those who stood at the pinnacle of power, like Alexander, were never free from dark conspiracies. Assassination and poisoning were not unheard of in the history of power, especially since his father, King Philip II, was also assassinated. Many believe that Alexander became the target of a poisoning conspiracy following his remarkable victories. It could have been during a lavish banquet where hidden enemies could easily approach. The poison was secretly added to his wine or food. Records indicate that after falling ill, Alexander exhibited strange symptoms: high fever, loss of speech, severe headaches, and eventually slipping into a coma. What makes the poisoning theory even more intriguing is the mention of hellebore root, a highly toxic plant used since ancient times as both medicine and a secret weapon. Hellebore can cause severe fevers and comas before the victim slowly fades into death. Researchers have found that the toxins in this plant match the symptoms Alexander experienced. But the strange thing is, if Alexander was indeed poisoned with this root, how did someone as intelligent and sharp as him not notice? Hellebore is notorious for its unpleasant bitterness, a taste that would be easily detectable in food or wine. Could the poison have been disguised by a more sophisticated method? Or did someone use a different kind of drug that no one expected? Did Alexander realize he was being poisoned, but for some reason was unable to act in time? There are mysterious stories suggesting that in his final days, Alexander sensed death approaching. It is said that he once told those close to him, "Death is stalking me, not from enemies on the battlefield, but from the ghosts around the banquet table." These words led many to believe that Alexander was aware that his death was being conspired by those he could not escape. The death of Alexander the Great remains an unsolved mystery to this day, making the theory of a poisoning conspiracy more intriguing and controversial than ever. Afterward, due to many historical events, the Macedonian territory gradually shrank. In 192 BCE, the Romans attacked Macedonia. King Philip V and Prince Perseus were defeated in their wars against the armies of the Roman Republic, twice, in 192 BCE and 168 BCE, and most of the Macedonian territory was conquered by the Romans. By 30 BCE, the last Macedonian cities also fell into Roman hands. Macedonia perished and became a province of Rome. Although Alexander died at a very young age, his legacy lived on. He changed the world's perspective on military power and leadership. He is proof that a brilliant leader can change the world not only through strength, but also with intelligence and an understanding of culture. Alexander became a symbol for future leaders, from Julius Caesar to Napoleon.